Good morning. Welcome to 90 Minutes with Mathematical on Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, reaching the world from Wasimi, Ogun State, Nigeria. Afcon has come and gone, but the conversations have sustained. But right now, I have my two guests who are waiting. I can see my boss, one of the most hard-working journalists that I know, veteran himself. I don't really know your position now in Vanguard, but I know you are either the overall boss in Vanguard, maybe the chairman of the board or something like that, because you have been there forever. The one we call Toneru. And also in Swan, I was asking him, what's your position in Swan? I know that he was our former Oga Kwata in Swan, but is he still there? It gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome Tony Ubani. Good morning, Tony. Unmute yourself. Unmute. Aha.
Good morning, Mathematical.
Very good.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm still in Vanguard. I'm in charge of sports, everything sports in Vanguard. I'm the group sports editor. I'm the editor. I'm the one editing sports in Vanguard. So those are my positions in Vanguard. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. You've been in that Vanguard forever. With me, we were there together.
Vanguard is a family. It's a place that once you get into Vanguard, you won't want to leave.
Yes, and of course, we also have my brother from another mother, who is waiting in his beautiful office in Dakar. Mon frère. Bonjour, mon ami.
Hey, bonjour.
Ça va?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Segun, hope you're doing good.
Good.
I was telling my daughter yesterday that it's only this guy around the world
that can call you at any time.
That can make me wake up early morning on Saturday morning for anything.
Thank you.
She was laughing at me, and I said, okay. So,
well, that's fine.
As you can see, I'm preparing my eggs for my breakfast.
Okay, don't worry. Just continue. But, let me just announce to the world that the man whose voice you've heard, that you may have seen briefly, is my very good friend, the Chief Executive Officer of Olymp Africa. That's our movement in Africa. And he's in Senegal, Tieno Alassane Diak. So you'll be meeting him. Let him finish his breakfast. He's making breakfast, and you are whetting my appetite. Anyway, I know that you deserve to make breakfast this morning. Everybody in Senegal is so excited that, they have the liberty, the freedom to do anything they want for the next 1 year or even 2 years. You are still on holiday. In Senegal. Anyway, but
we have no. We had 1 day public holiday to welcome the players, and that's it. And after we went back to work. And it was one great day of fun for everybody here.
We will hear about it. But let me start with Tony. If I don't know if you listened to my entire editorial, I said that, that was a good Afcon from the reports that I got from people who went from the moment it started to the very tail end of the championship. They were just praising, the organization, the facilities, everything. But should we now allow the final moments to define the championship? Because the final moments were a little bit ugly. Tell me, what is your own summation of Afcon 2025? Tony.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mathematical. I think the Afcon in Morocco is one of the best that we have witnessed. We have seen so many Afcon in Africa, and of course, I think that this was one of the best organized, despite the ugly moments that seem to, take away the glory of the whole competition. But be that as it may, I think that the ugly scenes that we saw, the chaotic scenes at the end of regulation time in the final, should not be used to judge a tournament that ran for, almost 30 days. I think that would be very, very fair, in judgment. But one cannot overlook the ugly sides. And of course, it's only when things like this happen, that it also brings to fore, the organization of the whole entire competition. But I think, to be fair to the Moroccans, I think they put in almost everything. Infrastructure, was, mind blowing. Not so many people. I've had a lot of people outside Africa, calling to say that indeed it was a rehearsal for what Morocco wants to do in 2030 in the World Cup they want to co-host. And indeed, their infrastructures, they have really shown that they are ready for everything. It's the ugly incidents that we saw at the final. These are things that also define football. But I think it was good, like you said, that Sadio Mane saved Africa. That's the way I want to put it. Sadio Mane was the man of the moment. He was a man of Afcon, and of course, the man for Senegal. That's, a man that has proved himself to be a legend. Not so many players would have done what he did, because in the spur of the moment, you saw that they were carried away, leaving the field, and then it took a lion's heart from Mane, for him to stay behind, and of course for him to summon the players back to field. And indeed, at the end, the glory went to Senegal, and the glory, defined Mane as the man of the moment of African Cup of Nations in Morocco. I think Morocco deserves praise. They do not need to be condemned. Morocco should be commended,
Good.
not condemnation.
Well, the social media space is dominated, with all manner of, jokes and criticism about the officiating, particularly of the last set of matches, including Nigerians. But with VAR, was the officiating at Afcon 2025 as bad as it's been projected in your own estimation?
Yeah, mathematical. It's you cannot totally condemn it, but I must tell you that what is not good, has no other name. We saw ugly situations. We saw referees not being firm. We saw referees that gave the people, it was, if not for what the referees did, I don't think that so many people will be, talking about it. CAF on its own may not have influenced the officiating by referees, but I do know that some referees were carried away. There were incidents that we saw where the referees tended, to, be very soft on the Moroccans. It wasn't once, it wasn't twice. And of course, I think that got the eye of so many people, and then people started talking. I think that CAF should be, very, very proactive in some of the appointments that they made. And I also noticed that the CAF, they were not consistent. If you remember the number of times they changed referees, I think if you are in charge of a competition and you have everything backing you, even when you make appointments that some teams, will not appreciate, that does not mean that at every time any country complain about a referee, that you have to change that referee. You have to be firm. You have to be consistent. You have to show that indeed there's an African Cup of Nations that involves almost everything. I do not think there was any set out plan by CAF or any of the officials, to rob some teams, from fair officiating. But indeed, we saw ugly moments. We saw times that made people to also think twice about the fair officiating. Some of the referees were biased. As in it was really practicable, as in so many people saw it, and then that was when tongue started wagging. But be that as it may, I continue to say that Morocco Afcon was one of the best, if not the best. And of course, perhaps when we get to that, we can back it up with figures in terms of money and in terms of infrastructure, in terms of ticketing, just as has been confirmed, by the authorities of CAF. Shegun.
As a Nigerian, I believe that Tieno is almost done with his breakfast. But Tony, as a Nigerian, for me, the biggest statement that was made, which we are taking for granted because this is not the first time it will happen, is that we have an Afcon, the biggest football championship in Africa. And there was not one Nigerian official. Not one. What does that tell us as Nigerians? What does that leave for you as a Nigerian? Somebody who is deeply involved in football, and with all the progress we have made in football, our advancement in football, not one official. And this is not the first time.
Yes, I'm happy that you added that. It's not the first time, it's not the second time. I think it also says a lot about, the development of sports, especially football in Africa. And indeed, it's shameful, I must admit, that if indeed we go with a tag of a heavyweight in African football, then I think that, it's a very big minus that when you talk about heavyweights, when you talk about, countries that have not even played in the final of the African Cup of Nations producing referees, that Nigeria, that has won the Nations Cup, 3 times, did not produce any referee. I think it should be agitating the minds of those who organize football, those in the glass house in Abuja, the Nigeria Football Federation, and of course, those organizing the local leagues, the Nigeria Premier Football League. I do not know how they feel, that every time there is Afcon, the Nigerian referees have not been called to duty. That to me is a slap on the face. And from statistics that we're getting, I think that we must brace up to know that indeed our football is not growing. Yesterday it was very alarming for you to hear that the Nigerian league is not among the first 10 leagues in Africa.
Wow.
Shego Degwami, you played this game. We saw you play. We saw you do everything. And up till today, you are in this game, this business. The Nigeria Football Federation and, of course, the MPFL should hide their faces in shame.
Wow.
That Nigerian league is not among the first 10 in Africa. What does it mean? People should not try to hide, from the truth. The truth is that Nigerian football is continuously going down. I don't think there is any other thing to define Nigerian football other than Nigerian football is going down. What we see that is bringing up the name of Nigeria are players that have gone abroad, players that are doing well, abroad. But before this time, Shegu, everybody started from Nigeria. The Nigerian leagues were functional, and the Nigerian players playing in the local league in Nigeria were the core people that played at the African Cup of Nations. It is not so. I think this is the time for us to buckle up and then stop passing the buck. Nigerian football is down. There is no other way anybody can say any other thing about Nigerian football. And then, the example that we saw in Afcon without, the men in black, being represented from Nigeria.
The country whose football is on the rise, the number 1 footballing country in Africa, at least as far as Afcon is concerned, Senegal. We have Tieno, my brother, waiting there. This is a country that went from the brink of defeat, and they rose to the ecstasy of unprecedented victory. I'm talking of Senegal, who turned the disappointment of the last few minutes of that game into one of their brightest moments. Tieno, tell us about how you as a Senegalese felt in the last few minutes of that match between Senegal and Morocco.
Thanks, my brother. First of all, I would like to comment on your editorial.
Yes, go ahead.
I didn't really agree on certain part of it.
Good.
First of all, you know that I'm not a sports specialist, but I've watched several times the last minutes. I recorded the last minutes to check what happened really on the last minutes. First of all, regarding the Senegalese goal, if you look at the pictures carefully, you will see that the first one to initiate the push was the Moroccan player. Okay, it was two players pushing each other, but the first one who was initiated was the Moroccan guy. This is the first one. And if you look at don't look at the penalty, look at the action before the penalty. The Moroccan guy was offside, and the Senegalese defender has to push the ball out of the field. If you look carefully at the pictures, you will see that the Moroccan guy, who was close to the Senegalese player, was offside. Look at it again, because and then you will see that the first decision, which wrong decision, was to give a corner kick, while the offside player, the Moroccan offside player, was in the action. He was not standing offside like that, but he was also acting because he was the one who pushed the Senegalese guy outside. Okay. I totally disagree that on the fact that the players went out of the field. It's not good at all for football. But you know, I have always said that football is not a sport, it's like a religion. People are so passionate, and things can happen in a game. It's good that Sadio Mane saved the game at the end of the day. But basically, what we have seen in the semifinals and the finals, having people around the field taking towels from the goalkeepers and having all those things happening while game was still ongoing, and referee saying nothing at the same time, was also part of what happened in the drama, even in the semifinals against Nigeria. The overall competition was good, but we have seen several wrong decisions during the competition, and especially because I think that the people in the VAR and also the assistant referees in several games did not do their work properly. And I said the level of the referees has to be looked carefully, because one day we'll end up having real bad situations in the stadium because of that. I really want to congratulate our Moroccan friends for the very good organization of the championships. Even if I feel that the best that we had in Afcon for the past years was definitely the one in Ivory Coast. Even if in Ivory Coast we also had some very strange decisions from referees. At the end of the day, people came back, the game took place again, and we end up having Senegal winning the cup. It was a sad moment, I think, for the entire African sports to see these kind of pictures, and all the comments that we have been receiving from journalists all around the world, FIFA and other people. Shows really what happened in this Afcon Cup. Regarding Senegal, I think that this is not a result that we didn't expect, because if you look at what we have been doing over the last 10, 15 years, is that we grew up a group of players. Most of the players that you have seen in our team have been trained at the early age in Senegal. There's few of them that grew up in Europe, but most of them grew up in Senegal. And if you look at the history, you'll see them. They were member of the under 15 national team, under 17 national team, under 20th national team, and even some of them played the other games before they got to the first team. And second is that we gave opportunity to a national coach to grow up with the team, because Aliou Cissé was a coach of the youth team and then the under 20 team, and then went with the A team and stayed there for more than 10 years. And he managed to build a team, a very, very strong team, having the same players from the age of 15 to the senior level. That really helped putting confidence into the players, and also making sure that despite the talent of individual talents of people, we managed to have a real team. If you look at, for example, the Nigerian team, and individually, our players are not superior to Nigerian players, definitely, because Nigeria is strong. But I think what they need to do is to make sure that they keep the same team around a coach, because I can tell you that you have a fantastic coach. The Eric Shell is a very, very good coach. But you cannot just say, okay, we have a new coach, then he has to deliver results in the next two years, or he's gone. You have to give an opportunity to a coach to build a team. You can have talents, but you don't have a team. And it's only in the long term, that middle term or long term, that you can build a team with players used to play together. They know exactly how they have to, where they have to stay in the team, in the field, how they have to play, and all those things. And make sure that we, at the end of the day, you have a real team playing with people knowing exactly what they have to do, and even being able to anticipate what the other members of the team are going to do when the opponents are having the ball. And that's what we managed to do. It is a long-term process, and even sometimes people were talking about, oh, we need to change the coach, we need to do this, we need to do that. At the end of the day, the federation struck into its position and said, we are keeping our coach until we reach a level that we don't want him again. So first of all, the first coach, Aliou Cissé, was a defensive coach. He was giving priority to the defense. Then when we took him away and got a new coach, the new coach is more offensive than the other one. But the basic was already done with the former coach. We have a very strong defense. And then the idea was how we can have a coach that will help to make the offensive part of the team stronger. And that's what Pacho has managed to do. To change a defensive team, already defensive team, to a very, very good squad, offensive squad. And I think if in Africa we understand that that's the way to go, there will be result. If you look at the French team, for example, you have seen the same coach over the last 15 or more than that. It's the same coach. They have not changed the coach. He's there. And every 4 years, you'll see results coming, because he have a basic team with very experienced players, and he's adding new people every time. And that is exactly what is happening in Senegal. And it is exactly what is happening in most of the biggest team in the world. You always have the same players that have been here, that have been there for maybe 10 years, and they include new ones, younger ones, that are helping to make the team stronger, knowing that at the back you have experienced players that will help them to position themselves better in the field when the game is taking place. That's what I wanted to add first of all on your editorial regarding the excitement in the country. Definitely, you know, football is very special.
You were very close to losing, and then suddenly here you are in heaven. I don't know how that transition in emotions happened to Senegalese, you know, at the brink of defeat, and suddenly here you are at the gates of paradise. I would like to know how Senegalese took that and what happened after that in Senegal.
Okay, after the Afcon, and so the government, as usual, sent a private plane to go and pick everybody. So people arrived, and they were staying in a 5-star hotel nearby the city, about 20 kilometers from the center of the capital, from State House. And the next day, people moved from there, and the crowd was just crazy. You cannot even imagine. Thousands of people just following the bus and moving, go from that hotel to State House, where the entire team was supposed to be welcomed by the state president. And you have seen on TV the even when they were playing the finals, the president, the prime minister, all the ministers jumping up and down, wearing the Senegalese official shirts, the team shirts and everything. So it was, I think for us, it is just something that we have been dreaming, because the last Afcon was very bad for us. We went to Ivory Coast expecting that we will win the cup again, and then it didn't happen. So excitement was amazing. You can't even imagine. The people on the ground the crowd was crazy, and also the fact that it was public holidays. The government decided that nobody would work, schools were closed, and people were just enjoying. It was from the night of the finals until the arrival of the players, and then the next day, which was a public holiday. It was just fun. But that's the magic around football. But you already know that you are one of the best African football player that we had in the history in our continent. So you know how football can be exciting for the players, but also for the public, everybody watching and following their national team. I think wearing a national dress to play for your country is an honor for everybody, and for people to be receiving them was just at the level of what they have achieved, despite all the difficulties that appears during this World Cup and also this African Cup, and also the fact that we have few players that were sick the day of the event. You have seen that Krépin Diatta didn't play, and several others were also sick.
The captain didn't play.
Went to hospital. And in terms of
just hold it there. Just hold it there, because I know that we are going to come to the climax of what Senegal did after winning. You are still going to tell us about the climax, because I've heard that Senegal just broke all their votes to reward those players. So just hold on there. Let Tony react, because as you were speaking about Senegal and what Senegal did and so on and so forth, I'm thinking of Nigeria. Do you know that we did not lose a single match in Afcon in regulation time? And the match that we even lost, in quotes, the match that we lost against Morocco, we could have easily won. With a little bit of luck also, we could have won. So we came very close to winning. Tony, listening to what Tieno said about the preparations of Senegal and their victory, which is not accidental at all. It was planned. Their victory was planned. They planned it in Ivory Coast. It didn't work. They planned it again and it worked. What do you think? Or where are we in Nigeria now in terms of our football, our coaching, and so on and so forth? Because we saw a team emerge towards the end that was unbeatable. We saw the faint outlines of a very solid Super Eagles coming through very soon. What are your thoughts on our own national team? Tony, you are muted. Tony, you are muted.
Let me say,
yeah, go on.
Let me say a big congratulations to Tieno and all Senegalese. Their victory, they deserve their victory. It wasn't an accident, like you rightly said. There are a few things that I've taken away from, the submissions of Tieno. I think the preparations, he talked about preparations, he talked about the coaching. It's not every time that you sack a coach. When you leave a coach to stay for some time, the coach becomes part of the team. The coach gets to know everything about the players. And I think, in the run-up to the Nations Cup, I think that was what affected us. And also what affected us at the World Cup, the largest stage of Nigeria not qualifying for the World Cup, and which to every Nigerian and African, that was the worst thing to ever happen to Nigeria, not qualifying, for the World Cup. And indeed, we have seen that despite the fact that Nigeria did not qualify for the World Cup, Nigeria remains the best team in Africa. We may not have won the Afcon, but I think that the display of Nigerians is a testament to the fact that the Nigerian Super Eagles remain the best in Africa. And I think that is even why it's so painful to all of us in Nigeria and so many people, in Africa and of course beyond Africa, that a team that did not concede, that a team that were not beaten at regulation time, that a team that got all the stats from CAF. If you look at it from A to Z, you see that Nigeria was most outstanding team in the concluded Afcon. And, it's unfortunate that such a team will not show its prowess, at the last stage at the World Cup. And it all boils down to the fact of preparation. Most times we do not take our preparation serious. Tieno has touched on the coaching aspect, and which in truth, affected Nigeria. We knew how many times Nigeria had to juggle, with the coaching staff. We remember when Finidi came. We remember when Eguavoy came. And of course, the Malian, Eric Sekuchel came. Even when he came, not so many people believed him. And the man, I must confess, took a very big risk in coming to Nigeria at the time that he did. And I gave him credit, today, that he has a very large heart and, of course, a very big passion for Nigerian football for him to have joined, despite not qualifying for the World Cup. I think that the man has bonded with the team. And, of course, it was noticeable to everybody, that the Nigerian team was outstanding. The Nigerian team was the best. The Nigerian team, if not for theirs, that got 5 goals ahead of Osimhen, I think that Nigeria will equally have gotten the golden boot. I think in all aspects, Chegu, the Nigerian football, at that Super Eagles level, was very creditable, and people should appreciate that. But I think it calls for lessons, for those who organize football, especially the Nigeria Football Federation. There were ugly things, that may have distracted Nigeria from achieving its goal. And you and I, we cannot shy away from that. I think it was really very ugly, when we begin to, anytime we go for any competition, any tournament, the first thing that people will just be looking out for is that the Nigerian players are going to protest. I think that shows inconsistency. That shows that we lack preparation. If indeed we prepare well and then we want our team to do well, I think such ugly things as in protest, bonuses not paid, allowances, they are very distracting. And at any time, that these issues come up, these ugly issues come up about bonuses that are not paid and all those things, and players embarking on a protest, stay off from training, and football suffers the most. And that is where I think that authorities should be taken to task. People should ask questions. If players can go on protest and then the money is released, I think there should be questions on why and whether the money was released and not given to the players until they get to protest that monies are released. And if indeed this ugly act is coming from the government not releasing funds, I think the government should equally be tasked. Questions should be asked. It's not a very small thing. It's a shame, that Nigeria, the stature of Nigeria, and with the type of players that we have, I've seen almost all the players, all the teams in Africa, and I think that Tieno also gave credit to the fact that Nigeria was outstanding. If a team that brings so much joy to millions of Africans, most especially to Nigerians, something that gives us joy and we cannot maintain it, I think that, we are not ready, to be the big brother and to be the heavyweight that we claim to be in Africa. I think on my part, Eric Chell has done well, for those who are concerned with his contract, that will be thrashed out. I've listened to so many people talk about him, talk about he's the best coach and all those things. I think we are being carried away. When you say that a team has done absolutely well, I think that team that has done absolutely well is Senegal, because they have a trophy to show for it.
Wow.
And indeed, there was a task that was given to Eric Chell, and that's getting to the final, which he did not do. But I'm not in any way disparaging the work of the young man. He has done well, not very well.
Very good.
And I think Nigerian football, this is the time we must come together, to rebuild Nigerian football, to take over, the role of a heavyweight in Africa, Shegun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is that for you to be the best, for you to have won Afcon, you needed to defeat the best. And going to Afcon, the best team in Africa at the time was Morocco, and they were hosts. So it was almost a mission impossible. So for any team to defeat them at home, that team must truly be number one. And so we must take lessons from Senegal's success. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio. We are reaching you from my humble village in Wasimi in Ogun State. And this is 90 Minutes with Mathematical. We'll be going on this very, very short break. When we come back, I want Tieno to now come and whet our appetites with what the Senegalese government has done to reward these gallant Senegalese heroes. Remember that in 1980, when we won, they gave us a flat each. The government gave us a flat, gave us a national honor, they gave us a car, and some other, nice things. That was the first time in Africa at the time that such lavish rewards would be showered on any team. And since then, it has been growing, from country to country, championship to championship. This time, it has blown off the roof. And we are going to hear from Tieno what the Senegalese government did after the break. Welcome back. 90 Minutes with Mathematical. The good, the bad, and the ugly of Afcon 2025. But the good side of it, the best side of it, the rewards. Get a piece of paper, get your pen, and listen to Tieno. He told me yesterday, and I couldn't sleep till this morning. What have you people done for those great giants of African football that did what was probably the best moments in Senegalese football? What have you done for them? Tieno.
So when the players arrived and the team and the federation members to State House, the state president has decided to award the entire team. But then in this presentation, you'll have two sides, the one given by State House and the one given by the federation itself. Okay, so the state president decided that each of the players, including the coaches, will receive around 120,000 euros.
Wow.
And a 1,500 meter square land by the beach area, which is about 80 kilometers from Dakar, but it's a very, very expensive area now because everybody wants to be there. It's a very nice place. And you have many hotels and everything there. Each of the players got that. And each member of the federation got 76,000 euros and 1,000 meters square.
Say that again. Say that again. Each member of the federation.
Yes. Got 76,000 euros and 1,000 meters square of land in that same area.
Wow.
And all other members of the team means that the other officials were with the teams got 30,000 euros and 500 meters square of land in that area.
Wow.
But on top of that, the sports ministry employees that were involved into this Afcon receive a global envelope of 465,000 euros to share between them.
That is the staff of the ministry.
Yes, 465,000 euros is around $500,000, $500,000. It was given to them. And on top of that, the federation give each member of the delegation, players and everybody, each of them receive around 95,000 euros. Means that in total for the players, it was around 210,000 euros that everybody got.
Each
and
player.
The other ones a little bit less because what they got from the government was less. So basically, that's what has been distributed to the people in recognition to what they have achieved for the country.
Look, I don't have anything to say. Tony, you have just listened there. You have just heard that. We thought that Nigeria was, don't let me use the word, but go on. Just listening to him now and what they have done for the Senegalese player, measured against the immeasurable achievement of that team, where the name of Senegal has been in the past 1 week on every international media, everywhere in the world. People are discussing Senegal and their achievements, how they came from the brink of defeat to win that championship. And here are the rewards. What is going through your mind? Tony?
So I must admit it's mind-blowing, and honestly, I feel a little bit jealous that I didn't continue with my football career, but honestly, I'm human. That's the truth.
Me, I've resumed training, Tony. I have resumed training. I'm going back to football.
but my brothers, it's not something new.
Yes, Tiene say something.
It's not something new. In 2002, players also receive a lot of money and land after the World Cup in 2002, and also after the Afcon that we won, the Afcon we won in 2022. It was the same. They got a lot of money and land from the government.
Wow.
But you know that I'm saying that football is a different sport. It's different than any other sport, especially in Africa. So, and it's highly political also, because when the entire population is happy that, that you just imagine something, the communion between within the entire community is something that you can reach only into sports. People, when they're celebrating especially when they're celebrating a football success, everybody is with everybody. There is no for any day. We don't care about religion. We don't care about age. Everybody's celebrating. That's the only moment in the history of any country, except when it was Independence Day, that people getting free and all those stuff, that everybody is together, from the younger one to the elder ones. Everybody. Okay, it's only sports that can give that kind of friendship and really
and peace and unity and cohesion.
within our communities and countries. A part of that, the next day people will start fighting again. But that's the magic. That's the magic around football, and I think that it's good that this kind of reward is given to people. But on the other side, because I'm from other sports, as you know.
No, leave your other sports. Leave your other sports. Leave your other sports for now. Tieno, leave your other sports for now. We are talking football. Tony, but continue with your thoughts, Tony. Tony, continue with your thoughts. Tieno is telling us about basketball and other sports, but who cares about other sports? I beg, football, number one. Oh yeah, Tony.
Mathematical. I know you are a footballer, and of course you will always support football. I think that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. I also support that government should also extend this hand of fellowship to others. And indeed, I must say that the Nigerian government has really come good of this.
Yeah.
I remember President Tinubu also rewarding our basketball team, the Tigers, who did Nigeria very well. And of course, the Super Falcons, who have always been on top of their game. It's I thank the Senegalese government, but I must also say that Nigeria has been on top of this. At the last Afcon in
Ivory Coast,
Cote d'Ivoire, despite the fact Nigeria did not win the Nations Cup. Yes, in Ivory Coast, the government also showed its love to the players. The reward they gave out to the players, was even very big, and so many people started complaining, because what they gave out to the players then, was something that was meant for the champions. I think that the government of Nigeria has always, shown appreciation, when officials do their work, and this, it's something that should stimulate, very good administration, and of course players. I think the ugly side of Nigerian football, holding Nigeria to the jugular most times when we go out, which is not the fault of the players, but the fault of administrators. If their work are done so well, I think that Nigeria has almost everything to dominate Africa. I think by now we should be getting up to 7 or 8 or 10 times, winning the African Cup of Nations. It's beats my imagination that we're still on 3. Nigeria that we have seen, the Nigerian football that was on display in Morocco, unfortunately, like I say, the sore point has always been that Nigeria will not be going to the World Cup. I think the world, took notice of Nigerian football, and the regrets became more, because a team that played the type of football that we saw in Morocco deserved to be at the World Cup. And in wishing all the other African countries that would be representing Africa at the World Cup, I also want the Nigeria Football Federation to take this, to heart, and indeed begin preparations. Let them look into our leagues. We cannot forever be dependent on players that are groomed, born abroad and all those things. And indeed, our league, the Nigerian league system, is suffering, is dying. It is from the Nigerian league that we have an indefatigable somebody like Shegu Odegwami, the mathematical, a name that resonates everywhere in Africa and in the world, and so many other names, that have done Nigeria very proud. So what I'm saying in essence is that in Nigeria, there are so many hidden talents. We can do this if indeed we improve on our league and the Nigeria Football Federation do all that they're supposed to do. Then Nigeria, there is absolutely nothing that is lacking from Nigeria, and we are very proud people. Football has shown, that is the king of sports, and indeed, the governments are reaching out, to crown the king of sports. I am happy for the Senegalese. Their resilience, notwithstanding, not so many teams, not so many countries would have, come, bear what the Senegalese went through in the final. And of course, money, being man enough, bringing them back, and then, they going ahead for them to win. That shows a lot of resilience. It wasn't a mistake. The Senegalese deserved everything that they won. But it's very painful to me that a country that, played the best football, the country that has the best stats in Morocco, did not get to the final. And that country, Nigeria, will
look, Tony, let me ask you, and then I will ask Tieno. Tony, let me ask you, and then a picture is forming in my mind that, Nigeria should have played Senegal in that final. Now, think about it. Which team would have won? Tony?
Which team would have won if Nigeria had played Senegal?
That would have been the biggest match in Africa this year. Which of the two teams would have won, in your own estimation?
In my estimation, I think that Nigeria would have won. Not taking anything away from Senegal. Senegal, very compact team. But I think the Nigerian team were a better team in all aspects of the game. I think one of the best players in the Nigerian team, Calvin Bassey. Not so many people have noticed, how rugged, that guy is. And indeed, if you look at the potency of our attacks, I think Shegu, there is absolutely, without taking anything away from the Senegalese team, very good team. I think that is a final that the world would have loved to see.
Yeah.
It's a final that the world would have been talking for months and months to come. The Senegalese team and the Nigerian team, because they have almost everything in common. They are West Africans, and of course they understand themselves, very well. But I think
let Tiano answer that question. In his own estimation, which of the two teams would have won? I know what he will say anyway, but okay, Tiano, we have to set up that match. Look, we have to set up that match. We have to set up that match. Let me tell you. Yes.
Look at the way Nigeria played the other round games and the way they played against Morocco.
Okay.
If you look at the way Nigeria played the other games, like very conquering team, taking the lead, leading the game and everything, dominating, and you look at the Nigeria team who played against Morocco, then you see exactly what is missing in your team.
You took lessons. Tiano, you saw how we played against them. You took lessons. You took lessons from that
problems okay. With Senegal.
Okay.
Nigeria didn't dominate Morocco. The way they played against Morocco was totally different because there was no space for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Morocco played like a very strong squad. Everybody was grouped. There was no space for Nigerian players.
Yeah, that's true.
Which they like, having space. And it would have been the same with Senegal. There would be no place for Nigeria to develop their football the way they are facing such kind of team. And that's why I'm telling you, you need to keep the coach for a certain time, because even if the talent is there, definitely the talent are there. You have fantastic players, individual players, but you are not a complete squad. There are things missing to make this team very, very completed in terms of performance. There are things to be done, still work to be done by the coach to make sure that he has a very strong team. I don't think Nigeria will beat Senegal. No. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
And I also would like to talk about what my friend said about the league. Football is a complete professional sports. It's business. And if you look at the traditional teams that we have in Africa, especially in our area in West Africa, I'm not talking about Tanzania and all those places where football is very well organized from the very early age. If you look at just take the example of Senegal. Okay, almost everybody in our team is coming from an academy, private academy. People are coming at the early age, very early, from 7, 8 years old, they are already in academies. They grew up in academies, so they learn how to play football. If you look at many countries, you'll see that players are coming from normal teams or local teams. They are not trained properly from the early age. Let me give you an example. Several years ago, I've been to the Barca Academy in Spain. And I was looking at the kids from 6, 7 years old playing. From 6 to 8 years old, you play barefoot. They just give you a ball. There's no game. They just give you a ball to feel the ball. And it's only at the age of 8 that they start wearing shoes and playing a little bit to tell people this is, because they know how to feel the ball itself. There are different steps that you need to go through to make sure that you are a complete football player. For example, you will see some players, they reach to the next to the goalkeeper and they just miss the shoot, because some of them, they got into clubs and so you'll see some of them that are over ages, they change their age, they diminish, they come back to say, okay, I'm 16 while they're already 25, or I'm 15, they're already more than 20, and they are not prepared the way it is supposed to be done. If you look at, for example, get the example of the team of Mali and other team, Ghana, for example. You have seen Ghana for several years winning the World Cup, under 15, under 17, and then players just disappear. They just disappear because already when they play in there, they are already over age. And the second, no, it's not only Ghana, it's most of the thing. I think if we want to have very good leagues, government should push for private people to invest into sporting academies, school sports and sporting academies. Because people, if you have your own academy, you want to make money. The only way for you to make money is to produce players that will be bought by teams in Europe. And if you look at all our players that you have been talking about, all of them are coming from academies. Almost none of them is coming from a local team, because here in Senegal, academies also play the league. They have their own team. Even if they are 15 or 16, they play the senior league. They go to second division, third division, get to first division and play. Most of them are 16 years old when they play against the big ones, the senior ones. And that's the way forward. I think in Africa, we need to increase the number of football academies, with business owners putting money into it to make sure that kids are grown from the age of 6, 7, and then when they reach the age of 16, they are already very good. Because you have noticed also that now most of the European teams, they buy kids at the age of 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
They will come and take them because they want to grow them the way they can play their own leagues. So that's my feeling, is that if we want to develop football, that's what we have to do.
We have to go back to the grassroots.
Definitely.
We have to make it professional. We have to go back to the academies and so on. I promise that we are going to take I promise that we are going to take one or two calls. Let's just take just one call for today. And let's see who the lucky caller is. Good morning. Hello? Okay. So as we start to round off, Tony, just your final thoughts, keep that in your mind, because I want to ask Tienu now about the Youth Olympics. Just a diversion about the Youth Olympics. Coming up in Senegal. It's coming up in Senegal this year, I think.
First of all, I would like to ask Segun if it will be possible for me after to leave, because I have a meeting in 15 minutes.
Okay, yes. Last question. Just tell us in 30 seconds.
You can ask anything, and then when you are done with it, you can continue, because I will have to rush out.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming, Tieno.
No, it's a pleasure. We are brothers for a long time.
Yes.
And you know how I appreciate what you have done for African sports and what you are still doing for the sports. So anytime you want me, you know that you can see me.
I am seeing you for the Youth Olympics coming up in Senegal.
Yeah, going back to the Youth Olympics. I think preparation are going on very well. Infrastructures will be delivered in the next 2-3 months maximum. So all the facilities will be ready. The campus is completely finished, where the games village will be. So, and everything is under control right now. I think we are going to have fantastic games with an African touch. I hope that there will be a large African touch that can make everybody proud. Let's hope. We are crossing fingers, because you know we are in Africa. But the involvement of the government, and recently a huge investment for close to $200 million that the government is putting, has decided 150 million that the government is putting on top of it, which has been voted end of last year. I think the people are ready to welcome everybody here, and I do hope that by that time all of you guys will be fit enough to come and stay with me here in Dakar and be able to enjoy those games.
Thank you very much. I shall be there. You know I shall be there anyway. You and I have been planning for me to come. I shall be there.
And your apartment is ready, fully equipped, and just waiting for you.
Tieno Alassane Diak, the CEO of Olymp Africa. I want to thank you on behalf of all Nigerians, of all people of sports around the world, for your contributions to sports development, particularly in Africa. We are proud of you, and we look forward to seeing you in Dakar later in the year. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring us with all the information.
Thank you, guys. Take care of yourself, and greet all my Nigerian friends, because you know I love Nigeria. So it has been like that for the last 35 years, and it's always a pleasure to be in Nigeria. I love that country. Take care of yourself, guys.
Thank you.
And wish you the best for the next Afcon. So when we get to the finals, then we'll see what is going to happen.
All right, Tieno. Tony.
Okay.
Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Tony. So now you heard Tieno's verdict there that Senegal would trash us. Well, I don't think so. But Senegal learnt from the experiences of Nigeria. They looked at how we played against Morocco, and they learned how to play against Morocco, and that's why they won. That's my own reading of it. But let me just take this last call, Tony, before we go. Hello? It's not working. Once again, this is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, coming to you from our humble studios in Wasimi in Ogun State. And this is 90 Minutes with Mathematical. My guests have been Tieno Alassane Diak and Tony Ubani. So, Tony, your final thoughts. What lessons can we take away finally from what happened to us in Afcon? We did not win it. We got to the semi-finals, but we played well generally, and we should be proud of ourselves. But haven't heard what Tieno said about preparations and earning the right to say you are champion. What lessons can we take away generally? Your final thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. I think, we have to be intentional if indeed we want to win the Afcon or any other competition that Nigeria is going into. There have been a lot of distractions anytime Nigeria goes for major tournament. And indeed, that to me is the worst way of preparing. That shows that we have not in any way prepared. When we talk about preparation, we do not just mean preparation on the pitch. We mean a wholeheartedly preparation, something that is involving everything. That is what Nigeria does not do. And it's a big time that we begin to learn about that. And then the coaching aspect of it, we must not equally be distracted, by our coaches, in terms when I talk about our coaches, who is going to be coach, is Richel contract going to be renewed? This is Nigeria. It is something that we can talk for eternity until time, catches up with us. Most times, we expedite a lot of actions, talking and not doing what we're supposed to do. I think these are the lessons. I think that from even what we had from Tieno, Senegal planned almost everything. And they have been together. He talked about academies all through, academies even playing in the league. That's a new one for me, and that, of course, shows the level of preparation and the growth of football, how some African countries are taking the development of football. Today, before we leave this place, I want to tax the Nigeria Football Federation, tax the NPFL officials. What are they going to do about the referees? What are they going to do about VAR officials? Do we have Nigerians who are competent in VAR operations? Are we going to see Nigerian referees officiating in the next Afcon, or are we still going to be mourning and then crying?
What of the fields, the playing surfaces, the playing surfaces? What of the fields, the facilities for our football? You should talk about that too.
Yes, the facilities. I think we have seen, that Morocco had, exhibited the best of facilities, and of course, one that captured, the eyes of the world. I think when we talk about facilities, I think we have facilities, but then which of the facilities do we have that is maintained, that is up to date? That is also a big question. It's not just, what we have seen in Nigeria is that when there are competitions, Nigeria will always want to bid. I've seen us bidding for the Olympics. I've seen us bidding for the Commonwealth Games. We do not talk about facilities. You cannot bid for all these things and then you do not have facilities. I think the only standard stadium now that is operational is in Akwa Ibom. The bestness in Akwa Ibom. I think that one is even being overused. We should be intentional. We should maintain our facilities. The one that we have, we should maintain, and then we should also catch up with what the rest of the world, what Morocco has shown to the world. These are standard pitches. These are standard facilities, infrastructures that can only be seen in Europe or America. I've never seen any African country that has shown what Morocco showed. But then I remember too that South Africa also stunned the world, when they host the World Cup in 2010. The Nigerian facilities, there are a lot of, big questions, surrounding facilities. And of course, we have not in any way demonstrated, our love that indeed we are ready, to compete with the rest of Africans and the world in terms of facilities, in terms of transportation. You and I know that when you are talking about hosting Afcon, hosting Commonwealth Games, hosting the World Cup, there are a lot of things that are involved outside the pitch, and then we have to talk about our economy, Chego. The economy must be in a very good state for us to now begin to talk of competing with the rest of the world.
Well, Food for thought. I want to thank Tony Ubani for joining me this morning. It's been wonderful, full of information. And thank also Tieno in his base in Dakar. I want to ask all to please join hands with our officials in Nigerian sports as a whole, in the NFF also. We have seen examples of development in other places. Let us now start to domesticate them. Let us start to do those things. Let us start to learn from our lessons when we go out and we see how others are doing them and doing them well. There's no harm in copying some of those things. On that note, I want to ask you to join us again next week, Saturday, when we bring you another edition of 90 Minutes with Mathematical. So, until then, thank you, Tony. Bye for now.